another episode of Passion Beer. I'm Mike Hoff. I'm here with Shane Holland and Nick.
Wow,
Robin.
really excited. It has been too long.
Today, Nick, why don't you tell us what we have?
So I went to the brewery release of the Dark Intrigue, which is the Storm King Stout, aged on bourbon barrels.
How long did you stand in line for?
I stood in line for a long time. They released about 300 cases at the initial brewery release, and they have about 3,000 of them.
Yep.
And thank you for standing there, Nick, by the way. I just want to say that.
How many did you
First
get?
and foremost.
I got a case for it.
Okay.
I got a case for it.
Good man.
It was a lot of fun. Met some good people in line and everything. So if you were there, you know what we all went through. One register for over 300 people. So
that sounds like an awesome time.
Well planned. Well planned, well coordinated.
But no, this is the last year that Dark Intrigue will be released.
Right.
Just due to the size of the barrels.
Kind of unfortunate, actually. I mean, it's...
You know what? It's an enjoyable brew.
Yeah,
they've been doing it the last couple of years, I think.
We should feel privileged.
2 years only. 2 years.
2 years?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah.
Open it without hitting the ceiling.
Alright, there we go. Anyway.
I mean, it's a pretty dark brown. I really wouldn't say it's black, though. I mean, it's not as deep.
It is certainly not black.
No, it's not. I mean, you get that burgundy, mahogany hues around the edges. I mean, it's not like a deep black stout that you normally would expect, but...
No, keep in mind, this was bottled on November 9th. I think they...
Very fresh, obviously,
Very fresh.
for a bourbon barrel beer. I'm not going to lie, the aroma is terribly weak.
Very weak right now.
I mean, it smells like a stout.
It smells like a good stout, though.
Like a good stout.
Don't downplay it whatsoever.
You do get some maltiness. It's not sweet malt. You just get malt.
Yeah,
it's not a bourbon. It's not a barrel aged.
It's not something you can pick like 5 different elements out of easily.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, personally, I think you guys are starting to downplay this a little bit more.
No, I mean,
I
mean, for saying that it's Storm King aged in bourbon barrels, I don't get the bourbon. I'm gonna be honest,
expect something on the nose.
I don't get the bourbon.
You would expect something on the nose.
I get like a nice
You stood
stout.
in line for 4 hours. Your opinion is.
I mean, I get a nice stout.
It
I
is.
really
This
do.
might be the best stand beer ever. No.
All right, let's taste it.
Cheers.
Just enough with the nose.
All right. Before you guys say anything, and before you let the disappointment roll off your tongue, let me just say this is really good. Storm King has to be one of my favorite go-to stouts.
Yeah.
All right. I'm glad Victory's local. I'm glad that they really focus on the community and everything. They make by far one of my favorite go-to year-round stouts.
Plug.
And I don't mind doing that. But this is an interesting take on that.
Now let me say something before we go on. Storm King by nature is hoppy.
It is a hoppy stout.
This is still hoppy, which is surprising.
It's still hoppy. And you get the thing I have always liked about Storm King is you get some very nice malt elements. And you get some good hop elements with some bitterness showing up and a little bit of just enough spice. With this, you get the malt. It's not a sweet malt. It's just straight up malt. Some bittering from the hops, and then at the end you get the dryness of the hops. You get some more of that hoppy element towards the end.
Right. I agree. No, I think the hoppiness comes through a lot, and I think what's to me is, to be quite honest, disappointing about the beer is that the bourbon barrel, I don't get that at all. I don't really get it.
You get it with you. If you have to search for it.
It's sitting there, but it's not.
If you advertise the beer as being bourbon barrel, then I have to search for it. But you do have to search for it, and it's kind of mixed in like the middle-ish, and you do get a little kick of that bourbon element in the middle.
And you know what?
I'm stretching for that, though. I really am, honestly.
You know what? The bourbon is definitely a little bit muted in this beer, more so than what I anticipated.
Right.
I'm not completely disappointed by it, though.
No, I'm not saying I'm disappointed.
I'm not disappointed at all.
And let me start off. I mean, you guys are really focused on the hop centricity of the whole beer.
Well, I think that's what makes Storm King what it is. It's a hoppy Russian Imperial stout.
It does have a lot of hoppy elements to it, which you would not expect from a stout by any means. But I feel like you're over-centric on the hoppiness of this beer.
The great thing about Storm King is that it has great malt elements and mixed with great hop elements. And if you say
you left out the great taste
and the great taste, I love
seriously the hops. Though honestly, if you look at any other Russian Imperial style on the market, the hops is what sets Storm King apart as being out, love it or hate it, because it's a very hoppy Russian Imperial Stout.
With this tastes like a more aged version of Storm King with a hint of bourbon.
See, I'm disappointed in that. I really don't get the bourbon. I hate to say that, but I think if you're going to plaster it on the label, give me bourbon. I don't get it. I really don't. I don't think there's any bourbon there from any other bourbon barrel-aged beer that I get. I always get bourbon. There's no bourbon.
There's a hint of bourbon in here. I think Shane.
It's seriously, it's weak. If there's bourbon there, it's weak.
Love you to death, but I'm going to disagree with you here.
This will go down in history as our most controversial episode.
Honestly,
seriously though, I stood in line for 4.5 hours.
No, I know you
the crap out of it.
Trust me, I appreciate that, but I just think...
No. I mean, it's a fantastic beer. I think yes. I think
we need to do grading soon.
Here's what I say. Let's do.
No. Time out. Between the two of you, I think you're on the scale of Black Tuesday, which is far exceeds Dark Intrigue, and I think you got. I think you got to level set your expectations and judge the beer for what it is.
Again.
You can't compare this to Black Tuesday.
Here's what I'm going to say.
I still don't get bourbon.
This is certainly one.
I really don't. I get hops.
Certainly one that. When we revisit this, because certainly you guys are going to age it.
Oh, I'm going to age like 2 bottles.
I have one from 2010, so we can look at that too.
We'll age this. Next, we will do another video review of this beer, same year. Okay?
You remind us, YouTube.
We'll do that.
Come on, Passion Beer followers.
Okay, and when we do it, maybe the malt will mellow and the bourbon will come out more.
I think the hops are going to fade drastically. I think this is just
honestly,
a fresh
for a beer that is aged in bourbon barrels, this is a very young bottle.
It is. I know. It's really less than a month.
We're drinking it in the same month it was put in the bottle.
But to that point, Mike, I mean, we've had other bottles that have been bourbon barrel aged, and the later on, the longer we cellar it, it feels like that bourbon starts to disappear.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree.
And that's one of my
the surprising thing, that there's no bourbon, and that's even fresh. There's no bourbon. That's what I hate about it. Not hate, but that's what I really dislike about it, is that even a fresh bottle doesn't have that bourbon.
So, Shane, they might have put this in a barrel and forgot to have the bourbon already in there.
Well, then they shouldn't put bourbon barrels on the bottom.
Ratings.
All right, I'm going to start. For me, 82. Honestly, I think this is a really weak attempt at a bourbon barrel aged beer. I think it's good. Seriously, 82. 82. I think it's good. I don't think it delivers on the bourbon front. I think if you're going to plaster bourbon barrels on the label, I want to taste bourbon. I mean, that's all there is to it. If there's bourbon barrels on the label, I want bourbon. There's no bourbon here. Sorry.
Fair enough, Mike.
I'm going to say that the amount that I like the Storm King, this is a good example of a more aged. I think you get a little more bourbon than Shane's saying.
Thank you.
No, you don't.
I do. No, I do. I think it's not like some beers you get like the bourbon as its own note. I think here it's mixed in with the other
bourbon. No,
it's mixed in with the other notes. But it's still. I still agree with Shane. I think that this beer should be a little more than it is. So I'm going to go with an 86.
Okay. Nick, why don't you rate it a lot higher, since I know you're gonna.
Shane, shut your hole, and it's my turn to rate this beer. And you know what? I'm much more in line with Mike. I agree. There are hints of bourbon in this beer. Not to the point of, say, Plead the Fifth from Dark Horse or Black Tuesday from the brewery. But, I mean, for a local Philadelphia brew, this is a fantastic take on taking
Homerism.
You know what?
No, go ahead. I'm
I have no issue doing that.
No, I know. What's your rating?
You know what? In the short, 88.
Okay.
You got to take into consideration, I do love Storm King. I love it a lot. Yes, I was expecting a little bit more out of this after standing in line for about 4.5 hours. on and off again rain.
It is slightly disappointing.
Oh, I'm going to hold that over your head.
It is slightly disappointing.
It is slightly disappointing. I mean, you didn't stand out in line, so I mean, it shouldn't be anywhere
More disappointing.
But no, overall, it's still a good brew. And
it is. I'm not saying that it's not.
Don't go out of your way for it, but if you're able to find it in distribution, definitely pick a bottle up and let us know your thoughts.
Absolutely agree.
Tweet us back.
Obviously, we have much differing thoughts. This is our most controversial review.
I would say it honestly is. I mean, really, I think it's the.
Yeah, this is why we
even though we're all in the 80s, that's the biggest.
This is why we had 3 people do this.
I mean,
so let us know.
Well, cheers.
Cheers.
Enjoy.
Thanks, guys.